Most people think therapy is a linear path from feeling bad to feeling good. Well, it's not that simple. The truth is, therapy often feels worse before it feels better. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Shara. I'm a mental health counselor that's been practicing for 15 plus years with individuals, and I love it. And I'm here to share with you a series of 6 videos. This is video 4 of 6 about how to actually succeed in therapy. I've had my own therapy fails multiple times in my younger life before I became a therapist, and I've learned everything you shouldn't do. And because I'm on the other side of the couch, I also know everything that you should do to get the most out of therapy. Now, today we're talking about how therapy isn't necessarily a linear launch pad from feeling like garbage to feeling like king of the universe. It actually is a little jiggy-jaggy like the stock market. And why is that? Well, a couple of things about that is you're going to feel worse before you feel better because you need to address your issues. Is it pleasant to address your issues? Is it pleasant to talk about people that are failing you, that you're upset about? Is it pleasant to talk about leaving that job and having to retrain for a different job? Is it pleasant to talk about changing your routines so that you can have your depression under control? Is it pleasant to talk about what to do with that ex-husband? Is it pleasant to talk about your family trauma? I will say the answer is, for you, it is not. For me as the therapist, I enjoy it because I'm a therapist. I enjoy these things and I love being here with you, but for you, it's not. And when I've been in the client position as well, it is not to talk about that argument you just had or about that pattern you can't seem to break. It can bring up feelings of shame. It can bring up feelings of helplessness, hopelessness. It can overwhelm you with the sense of the problems that you have in your life. It can remind you once again of that past you wish you could forget, or it can remind you again of the troubles that people give you in your life and how, you don't feel this hope. And that's why you're here in therapy in the first place, is because you're trying to find answers to those things. But it can be overwhelming to talk about those things, right? And I think that's why a lot of people will say to me as a therapist, "Oh, you must be, so exhausted listening to these stories." I said, it's not exhausting for me. It's exhausting for the client. I know, because when I'm the client, I'm exhausted. When I'm the therapist, I'm okay. So it is exhausting to talk about the issues. And the answers are not magical. They are practical. There is, occasionally, there's a therapy that happens that really makes you feel a lot better after. Like EMDR. A lot of people have great results with EMDR if they're dealing with trauma, but it actually is painful getting there. So you hear somebody say, "Oh, I loved my EMDR therapy. It helped me so much." But what you don't hear is they cried all day after it happened, or they cried the day before because they were dreading it, or that it was stressful when they were in the session, just addressing those issues. So the reality is, it is stressful. Just talking about hard things it can be distressing. But the good news is, of course, that in getting those things out, if it's trauma that you can finally speak about, or a worry that you're finally putting words to, or a goal that you're formulating and maybe getting some ideas of what to try, getting it out there, it does feel better, in some ways, and sometimes really better. But you take the bad with the good and realize it's a journey and not just a smooth upward ride that the therapist pulls you up and makes it better. The therapist is just a person, and the both of you are having a human interaction, talking about something difficult and trying to formulate and navigate how to move forward. So keep your expectations in the realm of reality. We're both just humans, the therapist and the client, and we're trying to navigate something hard, and that's inherently can be a little stressful, and that's okay. Obviously, if you feel like your therapist doesn't understand you or throws, things at you that don't feel like a fit, that's a different story. But if your expectations are what's off and you're just expecting it to be an easy, kind of smooth ride, and if the therapist isn't making it that way, then they must have failed in college. Then it's your expectations that are off, because it is challenging. It is stressful. The second thing to be aware of is that therapists are not, this kind of connects to that first point, but but not really. It's therapists are not magic and they're not mind reading unicorns. I can't read clients' minds. So I require clients to speak and tell me what they're struggling with, what they're feeling. And so if a client has this idea that the therapist can, in some kind of read your fortune, read your palm kind of mystical way, tell that you're struggling with bad dreams or nightmares, or tell that you're struggling with your identity, or if they can just discern that you that you hate yourself and cry at night, or they can just sense that you have greatness in you and you have a certain goal. They can't. They don't read minds. I don't read minds. And it's funny because you would think this doesn't need said, but it actually does. And I'll tell you why. As I've mentioned before on some of these other videos, I had a really big therapy fail when I was in my 20s, where I went with an issue that I was very distressed about, and I never talked about it, and the therapist never asked. And so she ended up talking to me about anxiety and other things, and I just thought, well, she knows what she's doing. I guess I'll just talk about this. And we never got to the issue at hand until 15 years later, when I was finally driven to speak out to my therapist at the time, and then we were able to work on it. But the therapist will never be able to read your mind if you don't speak. And so it's very important to say, this is the thing that keeps me up at night. This is what I'm so afraid of. This is what I can't stop doing. This is what, my partner does to me, or this is what's happened in the past that I can't make sense of. Saying that will really help. And also a little gentleness here. If you're not ready for that, it's okay. The time will come. Like, don't get down on yourself about that, but just be aware that it's not going to get worked on until you're ready to work on it and actually say it. So the third piece here would just be to speak out if you don't like techniques the therapist is using. If the therapist seems to give you too much homework and you don't like homework, you need to say, I don't like homework. I'm too busy. I'm not going to do it. Or if they, give you lots of worksheets and you feel like, but you're not listening. You say, I would really rather just be able to talk about my story and get it out. Or if they just seem to want to listen to your story, but they don't give you a worksheet, and you would like a worksheet to track your mood or something, then that's helpful to know. And you can tell them, you could say, I really want something to track my mood, or I'm wondering if it would be helpful if I had a list of specific skills to work on. Because therapists tend to gravitate more towards skill teaching, or more towards that psychodynamic, just listening and going with the flow and being in the relationship. And both of them are totally valid, and both of them are statistically supported. But if you feel like it should be going a different way, then say something. Most therapists are pretty flexible, and they'll say, oh yeah, I can be a little more solution focused, or I can listen a little better and quit making it about throwing solutions at you. Most of them will do that. Some of them are more hardened in one extreme or the other, and they would say, no, that's not the therapy I offer. So just as a review, therapy gets worse before it gets better in many cases. That's just the journey of growth. Why would we think it's otherwise? It's the human journey of growth, messy. The second one is it's not magical. Therapists aren't magic, and they don't read minds. You have to talk about the issues you want addressed. And the third one is, if there's an aspect of your therapist style that's not working for you, say something and see if you can problem solve that. I know I always love it when my clients tell me feedback like, I wish you'd do a little more of this or a little less of that. It's very helpful. If you find these tips helpful, then grab my free download of all the stuff that I think would help you succeed in therapy, all the points that are in this series of 6 videos that I'm making, and also see the playlist in the description for this series of 6 videos to help you succeed the most in therapy. And I'll see you next time.